Nama Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prachanine Nirvishesha Shunyavati Paskatya Desatanine Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadada Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda. There is a few more topics to consider of great importance when it comes to open a center in the Western world. For sure, the presentation has not been complete. It's almost impossible to make it complete because it is a very vast area of preaching, of taking Srila Prabhupada's mission into a new field, into a new area. This is actually a task, a Hercules task, which you could also call almost mission impossible. But when you do something for Krishna, the word impossible is not possible to be used because Krishna can make the impossible possible. And that has been the nature of our acharyas. They have shown that the impossible is possible. I was with Srila Puri Maharaj when he was 95 years. He was living in a small room in Mayapur, and another room was there where there were his deities, Radha Gopinath, Gaur Gadadha. They were in the second room, and a very small piece of land. Same place where Gopinath Gaudiya Math is now. Is old. It was only the underground. There was no second floor where he stayed later. And he was 95 years old. And after that, the Gopinath Gaudiya Math exploded. Vrindavan, Puri, huge temple, everything. If Krishna wants something, similar Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Maharaj. He started his mission when he was just short before he left back to Goloka. He started his own mission, had to go out and start temples and preaching everywhere, publishing books. Krishna can make amazing things. But to go to the Western world and to start centers in the Western world, I really wish the Gaudiya Math would have learned a little bit more from Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada's methods, because it's not easy to establish a temple. And I've seen missions just opening and closing, and no permanent settlement is really achieved in most of the places. So therefore I have accumulated the information, what I can consider important, to share it with those who want to preach, those who want to follow the order of Mahaprabhu, that in every town and village in the world there should be Krishna conscious centers. Those who actually want to be part of that feature, which Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada has shown to such a perfection that ISKCON was established all over the world. And many of those temples, they're still existing. Yes, some of them were mismanaged and even sold. That is unfortunate. But then many others have been opened ever since. And in India, the success of Prabhupada's movement is quite obvious. But what to do? We are basic workers. And we are thinking about Belize, Honduras. We are thinking about those places in the world where there's no Krishna conscious temples yet, where Krishna consciousness has not reached. And I'm not talking about countries, entire countries where Krishna consciousness has not been successfully established yet. There may be many others. Even in Europe, some areas are flaky, like Greece, and so there's not really a strong Krishna conscious movement there. Cyprus, and so many. So there's a lot of space for those who want to spread Krishna consciousness. And I think in this seminary I have accumulated a few important hints, but still there's a few missing, which are a little bit shorter. Of course, we have to have the devotees learn the scriptures. That's a very important thing. Because the new devotees, if they don't get the scriptures, Ishopani Parishad, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam basics, etc., if they don't get these, then they will not know what is Krishna consciousness. Therefore, we have the classes, morning classes, evening classes. Srila Prabhupada called it the Krishna conscious sandwich. Morning class, evening class, lots of service in between. That's a healthy sandwich. I mean, if you want to train up people who are ready to surrender, who are ready to do selfless service for their guru, there should be a good conception how to train them, what to do them. Now, another point which I took note of, that is, we have to have good public relations. Wherever you are, when you make a center, try to make good relationship with the neighbors. Try to make good relationship with the local authorities, that they know that you're doing a nice service there. You are encouraging young people not to take drugs. You're encouraging people for a healthy lifestyle, vegetarian lifestyle. You're encouraging people to do meditation and to live free of bad habits. All these type of things. That is a great service done. And it should be represented, because our Hindu Dharma, our Vaishnava Dharma, is 100% benefiting the world, making people happy, healthy, getting out of trouble. That is what the 4 regulative principles of freedom are all about. No illicit sex means free of sex which produces children without parents who want to care for them. Freedom of drugs means to be free from drugs and the contamination which drugs provide, which takes your mind away from good things, from spiritual things. And no meat, fish, and eggs means free of violence against animals, our brothers, the animals. And free from gambling means free from losing money uselessly, wasting it in the addiction of gambling. This is what Prabhupada gave us as basic principles, the 4 regulative principles of freedom. We are promoting them. They may not be popular. When Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur spoke about the 4 principles to the governor of Bengal, he said, impossible, these 4 things are my life. My life. Smoking, drinking, illicit sex and all that. So he wasn't attracted. He wanted to be a Brahmin, but he didn't want to follow the principles. So you see, this is it's an actual, a humongous achievement which Prabhupada made to convince people to follow 4 regulative principles, do bhakti sadhana, and then chant Hare Krishna, learn the scriptures, and do service to humanity. That's all Prabhupada did. He didn't make people do service to him. He himself had no interest. He didn't do anything for himself, my God. He only served his guru and humanity. So public relations are very important. You have to have a good relationship with the Indian embassy. You have to have local connection. You have to show that you belong to the Hindu culture. That is a great protection for your temple. The Vishwa Hindu Parishad, for example, they want to spread Sanatana Dharma around the world as much as they can understand it to be important. But whoever really spreads Sanatana Dharma, they will be friends. So we should be friends with them. Hinduism is not a word which really explains too much. Sanatana Dharma does explain much more. Vaishnava Dharma has a specific explanation of, but in general, we should be very well connected with the Indian community. They have helped so much. Also, the ISKCON temples around the world, they have helped so much, even in difficult moments. So we should appreciate that, because last but not least, they are our family. Sarveshukena Bhavantu. It is the duty of every Hindu that the whole world becomes happy. So we identify with the Bhagavad Gita. We don't identify with all the customs of those who are karma kandis, who are just approaching religion for getting some personal material benefit. No, we don't identify with that. We don't identify with ghost worship goes on in some Indian villages either. But we identify with the worship of the 6 Goswamis of the Sapta Devala and their scriptures. Yeah, we do identify with them. They are our guide. They are our gurus, our saviors. Srila Rupa Goswami. We are Rupa Nuga Varga. We are his parivar. So public relationship, there's usually in most everywhere now, there's an interreligious forum where religions should talk to each other and share with each other and benefit each other and jointly be a front to atheism. All this type of things of defeating Darwinism, defeating atheistic ideas that life has no meaning. So we should be related on that platform also. Srila Prabhupada created the Bhaktivedanta Institute. I mean, Bhaktivedanta Institute is a fabulous organization. Our Siddhanti Maharaj, he was the leader for South America of that organization. And Madhava Puri Maharaj, he lives in Princeton and was preaching. And Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj, he did such wonderful, they did all non-sectarian work. So you see, it's a very important thing that you understand that Krishna consciousness is the welfare for the world, non-sectarian way. That we also have some local needs, financial needs for our temples and some special feelings for our guru, which are kind of privacy. That is always there in every heart, in every family, but there should not be any type of sectarianism. That's why there's the Vishwa Vaishnava Rajshava. Therefore, you should have an active connection with the Vishwa Vaishnava Rajshava, connecting to all the acharyas of our sampradaya, not only being connected to your own guru, and that guru is not anymore with us, so you're off there in the world, a little group with no connection practically. And if the God brothers are not having good relationships either, then it's like each one against each other. What is that? Is that Krishna consciousness? Please come to your senses, my dear brothers and sisters. Krishna consciousness is open-minded appreciation. It is the loving embrace where Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says the Westerners, they will learn Bengali so that they can go deeper into the Mahaprabhu's mission, no? And appreciate. And the Eastern and Western devotees, they will dance together and love each other. If we don't accomplish this, then what have we accomplished? Where are we? What kind of a new sectarian thing we have? I must admit, when we went to India, the Indian devotees, some of them, they were suspicious of the Western devotees. They say, who are these guys all about? But then very soon after ISKCON was becoming strong, then the ISKCON devotees were proud. Who are these Indian devotees? They are not following Prabhupada. They are just following some other Gaudiya Math. They're not important. It turned around. Before they were suspicious of one, then they became proud over the others. Silly things, I tell you. There's also silly things in the world of neophytes. Yes, admit it. What's the strange thing? You are a neophyte, you must be having neophyte symptoms. So, and this is sectarianism, prejudice of any kind. In Vaishnavism, it is prohibited. If a woman becomes a Vaishnavi, she can become a spiritual master. Yes, of course, the history has proven that. So if anybody looks down on the female, or looks down on the Westerners, or looks down on the Orissa devotees, or looks down on this, or looks down on that, whoever looks down, I think he's not so high. I think that's the proof. Otherwise you could not look down, because this is not the Vaishnava approach. Vaishnavas always look up towards other Vaishnavas. Wow, they're so incredible. Wow, there's Chinese devotees. Wow, Russia is full of devotees. What wonderful, they're practicing. And like, for example, I've met Russian devotees. They're so serious, so incredible, loving and serious. So you think, but they came much later, because in the beginning of movement, there was no Russians. Only Prabhupada went there and started the Russian movement. But now there are so many Russian serious devotees that even in ISKCON, most of the leaders ran to Russia because they were given more attention there. Anyhow, public relations. Public relations is an essential point. You should keep good relations. You should have in your office, you must have a list of all the addresses of all the important contacts. And some or other, somebody has to keep those contacts. Call them up. How is everything going? Because public relationship, it is not what you know, it's who you know. Public relationships is you have to keep contacts, you have to culture them. And culturing them means when they come, you give them wonderful prasadam, you give them a book, you give them some words of honor, you let them speak. I mean, Prabhupada even let people speak in his events in public relations who were not Gaudiyas. They came to Prabhupada's events because they could see his mission was growing, and many times in Gaudiya Math also. And then they were saying maybe some Mayavadi statements or so. Anyhow, this is part of public relationships. We want to be friends of all, and we want to serve the Holy Dham. We want to make sure Vrindavan, I mean, when there's common interests, there has to be a little bit of a diplomatic platform. For common interests, we cannot say like the bashing of those of other philosophical interpretation. Maybe they're an intellectual process of understanding better our philosophy. But when it comes to relating to others, you know, then we have to be open-minded, and we have to see, oh yes, Vivekananda did a great job. His class in New York, in Chicago, was a historic class because he put Hinduism on the world map. Before that, there was only the British concept of Hinduism. British concept was they're primitive people of a lost past, and we have to give them Western culture, otherwise these people are just nothing. That was what the world was thinking and knowing about India. Then Vivekananda came and he gave a better philosophical, spiritual talk than all the other religious people there. They were just blown away by his way of speaking. That's why he became so famous, and he's most famous in India even today because of the public relation work of the Ramakrishna mission. Even though Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta, and Prabhupada Bhaktivedanta Swami did much more to bring Hinduism to the Western world, to do things for the Western world, establishing temples in the Western world, but that is not so recognized in India, lack of public relation, or also a little bit of, I cannot say this is an Indian issue, but I feel that the devotees have not tried strong enough to make Prabhupada famous on the public platforms. Anyway, that's a different subject. I will not get into it here. But keep good public relationships, and if there's common interests, then join with the Vishwa Hindu Parishad or with anybody who's defending the Hindu interest, like maintaining the Dham. Like we went to Yogi Adityanath. He is the Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh. We went to Akhilesh Yadav. We got accomplished that the horrible pillars which Mayavati made in the Yamuna were removed. That was an unbelievable thing. People told us, impossible, you can never get the government to spend money to destroy something which the government made themselves. So, but it was done by public relations, by talking to Akhilesh Yadav, by talking to Yogi Adityanath. Now, Vrindavan and Govardhan and Varshana, they are recognized tirthas. They were not previously to Yogi Adityanath. And Yogi Adityanath and the Modi government, they were more inclined to Kashi because they're coming from the Shankara school, you could say so. So they were not inclined to Vrindavan. But by all the pushing, all the public relations we made, finally said, okay, Vrindavan is a tirtha, has to be protected. And ever since then, you cannot imagine the difference. There was no cleaning going on in Vrindavan. Now they keep it clean. Now they're pushing the Vrindavan Kumbh Mela. Now they are taking care of Govardhan, which was totally neglected, and so many other things, because Braj Mandal has many, many areas and many projects that were totally ignored previously. So that's because we made relationships with them. We visited all the yogis. We went to Kumbh Mela. We begged them, hey, the Yamuna, this is Krishna's bathing place in his childhood. How can it be so neglected? Cannot be. And some of them took it up. Some of them made it an issue. So in this way, anyhow, this is a very important thing to have public relations in the Western world also. So show some respect to others and spread out your Gurudev's glory. The next thing I also want to touch here, that is we have to have a social part. The House of Wisdom we started in our Vrinda Parivar. House of Wisdom is a place where we are caring for the welfare of the people in general. And that, of course, means to look for the sick and dying and the weak people. If we have some social services for them, organized and sponsored by Vaishnavas, that will be very helpful and very good for us and for them, of course. Because, like Prabhupada, food distribution, that was one of the big issues of Prabhupada's mission from the very beginning. He didn't want anybody to go starving in many kilometers around his temple. He was very keen that everybody gets good food. So, actually, the German devotees, they built the first Prasadam hall in Mayapur. That was from Sankirtan. We did here in Germany in the 1972, 73, 74. We collected money. That money was sent to Prabhupada. He made the big Prasadam hall in Mayapur and started giving out Prasadam to the people. So you see, Prabhupada invested in this. It is Prasadam distribution is a very important feature, and the weak, the sick, the old. In the House of Wisdom, we have a whole program that how to accompany people who are dying in the last moment of their life, how to be there with them, for them, what is the Vaishnava culture about that, how to make sure we have some medical help for people. We have tried in the Vishwa Vaishnava Raj Sabha getting the support of the medical help for old Vaishnavas. We have made different things. We have worked with different doctor groups in India also. And we have had, in the Western world, we started the conscious doctors, which is like an association of those doctors who understand the values of Vaishnavism and who offer free service to Vaishnavas. That has been working, it has been acting. It's kind of informal, but it is a very important thing, conscious doctors, that because medicine is after we have seen that how much cheating is going on in this world, also in the medical field. You know, you need a trusted doctor when you're sick, because otherwise you're in a peril. If you're going to any of those mundane money-making hospitals, you don't know what is going to waiting for you there in your karma. So it's very important to have conscious doctors who are actually connected and committed to higher values of Krishna consciousness, so that they will safeguard the Vaishnavas and those who come to the Vaishnavas for help. So therefore, this is these are endeavors, social endeavors, but they are common sense. You could say that the Christians, they got themselves a good name all around the world because of their charitable activities. Even though those charitable activities, they had their motivation, and they're like they're gripping power structures. Healthcare is a power structure. Education is a power structure. Those who catch it, they will have power, they will have money. That is true, but it takes Prabhupada and our Vaishnavas, when they talk philosophy straight, they say that the only real charity is giving Krishna to people. And that's true, because in the moment of death, only Krishna can save you, and not so is a very important thing to understand, that yes, but all the Indian temples and even Srila Prabhupada, there was the Bhaktivinoda Institute in Mayapur, there was charitable dispensaries, homeopathic dispensaries of medicine. So it's not against the Gaudiya tradition to have charitable activities. That's what I'm trying to make clear. So if you can manage some charitable activities, like we have the House of Wisdom, we have the whole Oida therapy, the psychology of faith, understanding how faith can heal people. This is a very valuable element to reach out to others, and yes, that is charity. And those who work in those charities, they will promote Krishna consciousness a little bit indirectly. But when the people say, all the devotees of Krishna have this wonderful school, respect goes up for Krishna. Then it will go up. So in this way, we want to raise the awareness, the appreciation of people for Vaishnavas and for the Vaishnavas' contributions. So therefore, looking after the weak, sick, and dying is definitely part of the devotional functions. You see, priests, Brahmins, they're counseling the householder, they're looking after marriages. They're also there when people are dying. They can do the last rites. They can do the initiations. They can do the first grain ceremonies. They can do the hair-cutting ceremonies. You know, there's beautiful ceremonies, samskaras. And when the priests do that, the people become very grateful. They say, oh, these priests, they're actually Brahmins. They're actually doing what the Brahmins used to do. Then great appreciation is given to them. Like we are doing here in Germany, somebody's opening a new house. We go and make a yajna there, house opening ceremonies and things like that. And of course, then they come and they cook here in the temple, or they make some help for Krishna consciousness, because they appreciate. Serving community is a way to stay healthy in the community. So all this is very important. And to go on the streets, to be present in the streets is very important. We have many types of street distributions of books, devotional music, devotional lectures, prasadam stands, being in fairs, being part of yoga events, being part of simply going door to door, the personalized Sankirtan, where you go and visit people and says, hey, what do you need? You need some yoga, you need a retreat, you want to go to India, you want to get ingredients for cooking pure food, you want to know about ecological farms, you want to come and do singing and dancing in our temples. You know, we have so many variety of items we are offering, but mostly the people don't know it, or they're too shy. So to break the barrier between the devotees and the public, we have to go out. This is This is Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission is in the streets. He did not open temples himself. He sent his devotees to sing in the streets. Even he sang all the way to chant Kasi to stop him disturbing the movement. There have been moments where people have described singing in the street a nuisance. Actually, sometimes governments make rules, like in Russia, they prohibited the going out in the street and promoting your religion. But Mahaprabhu says we have to promote it in the streets because that's where the people are. And the people don't know about Krishna. How they will find out if they're not listening to a kirtan, meeting a devotee, buying a book, getting some information, and becoming attracted to the spirit of the Vaishnavas. So there's many types of street Sankirtan which we are promoting, and I'm sure you come up with a few new ones. There's no end to it. Some devotees sit down with a nice madras and with harmonium, and they sit on some public square or something. They sing a beautiful bhajan while one person is giving out, another person is Bharatnatyam dancing, and the people get some invitation, and others, they're just having Kartana Mridanga and jumping and dancing. There's many types of approaches. There's no hard and fast rules how to chant the holy name or how to spread the glories of the holy name. There is no hard and fast rules. I know some people, they have taken a more yogic approach and getting people like Madhusudan Maharaj says, now you close your eyes and you chant Om Govinda like that, and he gets people like, it's all about touching people's heart. The Krishna conscious movement spreads because the devotee has touched our heart. Jai Srila Prabhupada. He touched our heart so much that we will give our intelligence and whatever little thing we have to his lotus feet and to spreading Krishna consciousness. So this is the essence here. We want this movement to go to every town and village, because that's what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu announced, and we are all participating, and the Western world is waiting for you, dear Vaishnavas, sadhus, sannyasis, babas. The Western world is waiting for you, but to go somewhere and to suffer there with the people. Excuse me, suffer? Yes. If you show your affection and your care for them, you're ready to live with them under the conditions which are there, poverty or whatever, then you will endear yourself to them and they will want to know what you have to give. That is very important. Prabhupada came to suffer with us. He was standing in line for the bathroom with the hippies in order to get there. Finally, they understood, oh, this is Swamiji's, our guru, he should go first. You see, we didn't know anything. We were so ignorant. We couldn't understand what happened, that pure devotee has come to save us, and we have him stand in line for the bathroom. Can you imagine that? That was the beginning of Krishna consciousness. So, yes, little we are getting it, and more things are done. So whatever position you take in Krishna consciousness, make sure your position is a service position, where you're teaching to become the servant of the servant of the servant. The guru is the servant of his disciples. The disciples don't like to see it that way. They feel that we are the servant of the guru, but no. The guru has all the headache, all the trouble with his neophyte disciples, trying to bring them to some higher understanding and to some dignified performance of life. And for that he's accepting so many difficulties, so hard. So let us go on spreading Krishna consciousness in the West. Let's make temples. Yes, let's go there. I've seen people, Indian people are very expert. I've seen a few people go from India. They knew nothing about the Western world, and before we knew, they had a big business like Shankar Shan, like Brajadulal in Mexico. They just went boom, 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 and they make a big business there. They are so expert. So if you are also expert to suffer with us in the Western world to make us Krishna conscious, you will be successful. Krishna will bless you. He will give you facilities. You know, last not least, the West is like Srila Prabhupada used to give the example, which is now not so applicable, but he said the blind and the lame. He said, India is lame, they have not so much money. The West is blind, so they don't know where to go. So if the West with their wealth take the Indians on their shoulder, the Indian can see and tell the lame, and since he's blind, the one who can carry him, he can carry him, and they together can do something. Nowadays, it doesn't look really like that. It looks like Indians are more charitable and more successful, even in the material field. So here we are now blind and lame, and that makes it more tough. Now we have to get someone to give us the sight, the insight, and that sight is Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Shakyam, Atmani Vedanam. So my dear friends, please accept my apologies. I don't feel that I should instruct anybody, but at the same time, I have been there and have had experience in this Krishna consciousness movement, seeing temples coming up, accompanying the mission of Srila Prabhupada, accompanying the mission of Srila Bhakti Lakshmana Maharaj, accompanying the mission of Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj, accompanying the mission of Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Maharaj, seeing how the Western devotees or the Eastern devotees act when they go to the West. I've had a lot of things I could reflect upon, and I'm just sharing this with you for your benefit, for the success of whatever you do for taking Krishna consciousness to every town and village in the world. I will close my seminary here by offering my dandavats unlimited to all the Vaishnavas, like it says in the first offense against the holy name. Do not offend anybody who's trying to spread the holy names of the Lord. That is very important, and so if I've ever offended any preacher, I apologize sincerely, hundreds and thousands of times at their feet. My only intention is to please my Guru Varga and all the Vaishnavas, and the audacity of speaking about how to open centers in the Western world is only because I pray that there will be more and more centers of Krishna consciousness in the Western world, more things, more presence of the Vaishnavas. We are still like drops in the ocean of misery in most places. Very, very few Gaudiya Vaishnavas have their arms and their heart open to the world. So we need that. We are in great need for that. And therefore, if these words or these hints can give you any practical impulse to do it and to stick to it, then it will be my eternal benefit as well. So once again, Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhaiva Chapatitanang Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. I pray to all of you to be healthy, happy, and successful in Krishna consciousness, spreading and enriching the Nitya Lila of our Guru Varga. Hari Bo.